we will win, and we're announcing that through your podcast.
Oh, that's so
cool.
exciting.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia at the point of investment fund.
It's a
There's
big
a lot of excitement
It's
around
transformational
NEOM specifically.
change. Every aspect of the kingdom, economic, social, cultural, religious.
2030.
This is the 2030.
Yalla, 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 yalla.
This is the 2030, episode 44. Dr. Hannah Almaeena from London. Hello. Hello, Allah. How are you?
Hello, Allah. Alhamdulillah, I'm well. How are you?
You don't sound well.
I have
That
a
wasn't a
frog
good
in my
hello,
throat.
Allah. You had a frog in your throat.
Let me try that
yeah.
again.
Is there a
There's
term?
a frog, yes.
Is there a term for that in Arabic? Is there like a
In Arabic?
like
An
a term like
equivalent?
a
another animal.
Yeah.
It's a different animal. It's a lizard.
What animal is it?
No,
A
I
lizard
made
in
that
my
up.
throat. Oh, did you? Okay.
There's no actual equivalent statement phrasing, I think.
So you just say that you're like sick or whatever, or like, ooh, like what do you say?
I mean, all I can think of is saying like that when you choke or you like choke. Choking on food and choking on water have two, or a liquid have two different words in Arabic. You say them differently. You either choke on food or you choke on liquid, and there are two different words. And if you say one when you do the other, people laugh at you. They're like, "How do you not know what just happened to you?"
What you would say in English, you say, ooh, it went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, you could say that, but you could also say you choked, because if you do take like what, I guess it's the same. I don't know. In my head, choking can be on liquid as well. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. But like, I don't know if I'd be like, ooh, I was choking on my liquid or my soda. I would just say, every time I would say it went down the wrong pipe, sorry. And then maybe that's just because.
Do you always say pipe? I would say it went down the wrong tube.
Yeah, that might be the US, UK difference that is now taking over.
No, I think that's maybe like an East Coast, West Coast thing, because that definitely didn't come from here. Like I've said that my whole life.
So you've never said it went down the wrong pipe?
No, always the wrong tube.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway.
I do wonder if that's like a...
I can't wait to Google that. There's probably a whole Reddit thread all about this.
There's a Reddit thread on it.
Yeah, there's got to be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Really, really cool episode coming up, Dr. Hannah. We will be speaking, and this is, I think, maybe our favorite conversation, or up there. We don't want to denigrate any of the other guests
it's
that
up there.
have come on or will come on, but it's up there. It's going to be hard to beat. Omar Almaeena and Safwan Modir, founders of RedSea Camel Company, entrepreneurs, filmmakers, documentarians, Netflix guys. It's an incredible story from Jeddah moving to Qassim. It's just really great, and they have a great story. So very much looking forward to this conversation we have today. And we're back on our like interview train. We're like in our interview era again. We have a lot of them coming up, so stay tuned, I guess, for that.
So can I just say like how to pronounce Safwan's last name? It's Safwan Modir, like the boss.
Modir. Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been a nice correction to make maybe before we did the interview. Sorry, Safwan. Yeah, but you couldn't do it in front of him.
You didn't ask? Right? You didn't ask.
I'm not. I like to go in guns blazing, and then
and
that's
the
my
thing
approach.
Is, like sometimes you don't take a breath, so I can't actually like correct you.
I know, and everybody knows this, but like we do most of our interviews, most of the show digitally. We have some cool software to do it, and professional mics, lighting, and whatever we have. But we're subject to the delays of the wonderful worldwide internet, and so yeah, I mean, like so sometimes like if we try to talk over each other, there's like a third of a second delay, and it's like and so yeah, no, thanks for not correcting me. I'm glad. Because he didn't correct me either. So maybe he's just like, maybe that's what it is now. This white guy says this. Anyway.
That's how colonialism works. Oh, the white people came and changed our names. Maybe that's what we're called now. I don't think so.
The Gulf of America, baby. Okay, feedback time. Malik Shakil, 1484, commented, excellent coverage and the brilliant lady of Saudi presenter of this documentary series. I love to watch further such informative broadcasts on this channel. I agree. My co-host is brilliant. She's the intellectual heft that carries the show. Malik, Shaquille, I agree wholeheartedly. Hannah, you're turning red. I can see it. But yeah, thanks for that feedback, Malik. And this is from Abdul Rahman Al-Faiz, my buddy. Bro, just caught up with the podcast. I had an hour and 10-minute drive in the car, which, ouch. And I was listening the whole time. Amazing stuff, man. Very structured, very smooth, and very easy on the ears. As always, P.S. Love that you rep the skins in the Metro interview. Absolutely. The Redskins Commanders. And I will be doing that next year at this time when they enter the Super Bowl, inshallah. So yeah, thanks for that. This is from Dahlia B on LinkedIn in response to a snippet of our longer conversation on salary growth for Saudis in the private sector. That one generated a lot of comments, positive and negative, especially on the negative side with people saying, where's my increase? Quote, significant growth of salaries for women would also require increasing financial literacy and money management. Proud to be part of one of the first contributors to financial literacy at Reali Foundation. Thank you, Dahlia. And then this is from listener Khalid. Guys, I love the show. I'm lucky I found it. I'm sharing it with others. You should do a marketing campaign to increase awareness of the show because when I share it with people, they say they love it. And then they ask me how I found it. Keep it up, Khalid from Jeddah. Khalid, you're my man. Thank you. That's very, very nice. Yeah, we have big plans coming up this coming year, but there's something to be said about the organic growth happening here, now north of 34,000 subscribers and growing. So yeah, well done, Dr. Hannah. What was the term again? Brilliant lady of Saudi presenter. That's you.
So I just wanted to say, I want to say thank you to Dahlia for A, listening, and B, for also all of the incredible work that she's done with Reali. It's one of my favorite nonprofits. I think it's its own foundation now. I think it actually started out as a CSR initiative, but it's now grown into its own not-for-profit. Such a cool initiative for young people to learn about money and money management, but also it's evolved now to really target everybody, not just young people. So well done, Dahlia, and thanks for the comment.
I think we may have a transformation from commenter to guest coming up because that sounds awesome. And this is a subject that you and I both have talked about before we think should feature on this show. So yeah, and I apologize to all listeners, especially if it sounds like I'm in the back of a Chuck E. Cheese. It is now like witching hour on a Friday evening in Saudi Arabia in my apartment complex. And so there are 1 million children in the courtyard right next to me. I'm trying as best as I can to, keep that down. But anyway, if that's what you hear, all the children, I assume, are safe. So yeah. Anyway, let's get to our incredible, awesome conversation with Omar and Safwan from RedSea Camel Company. Joining us on the 2030 main stage are entrepreneurs Omar Almaeena and Safwan Modir, founders of RedSea Camel Company. Omar and Safwan took a big leap in 2021, leaving their previous work in finance, entertainment, and hospitality, and founded the camel breeding farm RedSea Camel Company, which is located in the Al Qassim region of Saudi Arabia. When they launched RedSea, they became the first camel owners to incorporate a company and treat camel breeding as a business. With packages and camel care for customers and digitizing the whole process, Omar and Safwan are also big into camel racing and created the first Saudi camel racing team. And if you're thinking to yourself right now, this would be an interesting to watch happen, Omar and Safwan are a few steps ahead of you. The two launched a film company and filmed their journey in forming their camel breeding and camel racing businesses, which got picked up by Netflix, and within 48 hours, their show Camel Quest made it to Netflix's top 10 ranking in the region. You can bet the farm. We're going to be asking about that and so much more here today. Omar and Safwan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
I've never had such an amazing intro. Can you send me that recording? So
yeah, absolutely.
That's our new bio. That's our new bio.
So it was worth waiting.
Yes.
Thank you both for having us.
I'm so excited to have you both on our show. So basically, I'd love to start with a little bit of an introduction about the camel industry. I mean, last year, 2024 was Saudi Arabia's Year of the Camel. Camels are a huge part of Saudi culture. There's hundreds of words to describe camels. In Arabic, they're the symbol of the Arabian Peninsula, but I don't really feel like we talk about them enough. We definitely don't talk about them enough when we're talking to a global audience. And you two have made it your mission to change that. So I'd love for you to tell us about the world of camels from your point of view. And whoever wants to start, if you want to introduce us to the industry, telling us a little bit about your work in both Al-Hubub and RedSea Camel Company, that would be amazing.
So we've all known camels that they are magnificent creatures of the desert. But we never went deeper and understand that we really see them as partners of humans. Because I always give this nice example. Your car, your 4x4 car today that takes you from Riyadh to Jeddah. Back back in the days, what creature or what animal could take you that far except the camel? I really believe that the SUVs or the 4x4s are evolutions of camels. When they call them the Safinat al-Sahra, the desert's ship, it's not by coincidence. And camels, they have helped civilizations being built. Because on the camel humps, you used to carry heavy things horses can't do, or any other creatures. So if you look at it historically speaking, camels have been there all the time. Now, in the modern world, we've all seen the horse industry, correct? The equestrian industry. Equestrian industry is a very prestigious industry. We have beauty horses, you have horse racing, and you have them being attended by royalty, a lot of people from different levels of the society, and it's a big thing happening, correct? Camel industry, the camel industry had that thing, but it was always within the camel owners. It was never been internationally, or the light wasn't shed on it internationally. Now, and we literally cannot ignore that, we're living in a time where the big thing of this time is opportunity. And we always say you have to live the big idea of your time. Now, in Saudi Arabia, because of the wiseness of the leadership and the vision of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman 2030, so many opportunities arise that we haven't even thought of. So the first time, literally, camel festivals and races were shed light on is during this period. So here where we saw an opportunity. So anything in the world that has fans, that has an economical cycle within it, can be done as a business. So what is the difference then between camels and horses? A camel, you can drink its milk, you can eat its meat, you can use everything in the camel. So it's a full resource of life. And there we and Omar saw it, and then it's like, okay, there is something going on there. Let's explore. And a lot of people were telling us, Safwan, Omar, how come both of you from Jeddah will enter such a world? Well, let me tell everyone, the most hospitable people we have met in our lives are camel owners in the desert. They've welcomed us with open arms, and they were like so happy that there are new people
Omar,
coming.
do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of the other side of that and the racing and kind of, you know, if the camel breeders are super friendly, were they also friendly about kind of what the racing entails? And I don't know even how to ask that question. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that space.
So the racing side, like horses, you have, you know, many different aspects of competition. You have beauty, right? Horses, you have racing, as in racing. You know, you see the Saudi Cup and Kentucky Derby and the ones in England. Then you have endurance racing in horses, right? So those are the main, and show jumping and dressage. So you have many sports. With camels, the competitions are beauty, which, you know, we're into the breeding side. And then because I raced horses long distance, not the short distance. So for me, it was much more exhilarating, right? Because you are preparing for an event that is based on a lot of training, nutrition. You know, there are things that you can not play with, but there are things that you can work on with the camel to win and not. So I thought that, you know, we thought that was quite interesting to do. And then, but the only thing we felt that could give us an edge long term, not short term, was what if a camel got injured? He's an athlete, could get injured. What if you had a bad season? Every athlete has a bad season. Every football team has a bad season. Any sport, you could have a bad season. But what do these teams do? So if you have a bad season, you're still economically okay. Like Formula One, not everyone wins. So there's a lot of sponsorships around it. There was a lot of other, ancillary income to the team. So we thought a team is the best structure to do this, and as such, we tried to figure out, what is the best structure to own a camel team. Where are the best trainers? Apparently, some of the best trainers are in Oman, so our camels are in Oman. So now that's another trip that we have to do a lot of, go to Oman, which is, I said, I really love Oman. Like I could see myself retiring, but I don't mind that. But the way we looked at it was create a team, try to do some marketing around it, try to add sponsors to it, bring new blood into the sport, and then eventually maybe others could have other teams, and then we really have something exciting to really talk about.
You can't retire in Oman. The Qassimis aren't going to let you go. They're going to say, we got these Hijazi guys in here. We're so excited. They can't leave ever. So I think we should move on to your television show. And I think in order to talk about that, which is just such a cool story, we need to ask you about how you got the idea to do it. And can you tell us about how you formed a company to do it, how you pitched Netflix? Tell us about the show. I want to ask 50 questions right now into one, but just talk about the TV show and what you guys have built with that.
I think in the 90s, Saudi was very different. And as young men and boys, we couldn't go into a lot of places. So we had to always put on a show or act our way into these situations, right? We won't get into many details, but we'll just say the pinnacle was when we graduated in 2001. We all were very happy from high school, and we said we wanted to celebrate and have this amazing meal. And we went to this prestigious hotel in Jeddah that will remain nameless. And they said no. And we said, please, this is, yes, we graduated. We're men now. You should let us in. Sorry, guys. Not today. So we were like, all right, this is not happening today. So what we did is we went back, we wore suit, ties, and shirts. I was much more fit back then. I think Safwan looked the same.
I had hair.
Yeah, you had hair. That was it.
Yeah. I was like Robert De Niro hair.
Yeah, very nice hair. And then Safwan put on an Italian accent. I was an American teacher, and that was my role. And our third friend didn't know what to do, so we said, just play a mute and shut up. So we did. And we made it into the hotel. The hotel manager came. He apologized to us. We got a free meal, free rooms, free coffee, free dessert, everything. And from there, Saf and I were like, this might not be a crazy idea to go into acting, right? Might not be, but let's just keep it there. 20 odd years later, we get into the camel industry. The movie scene in Saudi has become amazing, right? Like to go from no cinemas in 2016 to the type of productions that we have now, the type of acting, the type of artists that we have now, producers, actresses, directors, like the whole ecosystem, to come from nothing to where we are now is just simply amazing. And we felt we wanted to be part of that movement as well. We had a fish out of water idea, which is two guys from Jeddah going into the camel world, right? We have a kind of unique relationship, Saf and I, like a very yin and yang. He's very set in his ways, I'm very set in mine, which kind of hopefully endears to a comedic atmosphere. And we said, for budget reasons or for our own reasons, we wanna act in this as well. Let's see where it goes. But we had amazing mentors. This wouldn't have happened obviously before Allah. Then all of these mentors that came on board and believed in us and put us on the right path, and an Emmy award-winning director that helped us write this story. It was unscripted, but that was because of the budget. And we tried to fund it ourselves. We got sponsors as well. And we made it with the risk of not pre-selling it. Which, for anyone listening, don't do that. Please.
Don't do that at all.
Don't do it.
Now that it's aired and that it did so well, especially in the region, Are people, Hannah asked me this question a few episodes ago, are people coming up to you and saying, hey, you're the guys, and they want to talk to you and meet you?
I think,
Oh yes, especially in the
yeah,
train station. In the train station. I was so surprised. Once I was going to Medina by train, and one after another coming up. You're the camel guy. انت صافوان حق الإبل. You're the camel guy. I'm like, okay, it's me.
It's like
Yeah, it
overnight
was a different
celebrities.
experience. Yeah, true. Even in the camel world, the value of the camels got up because we're celebrities now, and everybody around us want to come and Snapchat us, and it was good for business.
I think that is so cool. Okay, the fact that you were able to combine the two is fascinating because again, you're shedding light on an incredibly traditional craft that has been, as you mentioned, thousands of years old. It's been the way of life for people within the Arabian Peninsula. I think what's super interesting is you were able to disrupt that industry, create something new that's incredibly economically viable, and then be able to project it to the world in a way that is very innovative. And so you've cracked a model here that is this. It's just fascinating. But I wonder how comfortable you feel being new players in an old traditional craft, and if you've encountered any challenges kind of in modernizing the industry, and how are you balancing kind of innovation with that cultural preservation that's needed to make sure that this craft remains, some semblance of it remains intact?
So I'll tell you something. First of all, Saudis, they don't fear. Second of all, we cannot ignore that the king. If you look at the world, what country is developing like Saudi? What country is changing like Saudi? No matter what part of the society, you are getting affected by this strong movement, the change. So, if the entire country wasn't moving forward worldwide that fast, yes, we would maybe find some difficulties, but you'll get surprised. Everybody is accepting this. Everybody is accepting the change. And I believe because of the bigger picture, because everything is changing to the better. And anything that has been done to any industry that will help this industry grow, the guardians of that industry now are accepting that. And that's something literally you cannot find anywhere else. Normally, there are guardians for old methods that they will protect the change, they're enemies of change. But no, honestly, that helped us a lot, by the way. And you can call it we're lucky, it is the time. I just can't find a proper word for it.
Do you have anything to add to that, Amor?
from the racing side, it's a fine balance, because I think the racing side, there's a little bit more change that you're offering now. In the breeding side, you're creating a package, or you're creating an economical thing. Here, you're creating something completely new. You're taking racing camels who do it individually, and now you're trying to pitch a Formula One formula to do it right now. So I think the balance is it's an intricate line that you're saying. I understand, like these are the ways that we do it, and this is how we train them, and these are the medicines we have. But can we introduce a little bit modern sports medicine to the racing, right? Can we measure different kind of ratios when they race? How can we convince sponsors to get into racing, right? What is it in it for them? How do we create more of a community that more and more people watch the camel racing, so that more and more companies are willing to sponsor? And I think that is the challenge. That's why we do it, because if it was easy, then all of us would have done it. And if there's a challenge, there's certain people who can and want to do it. And I think that is, as my cousin says, the balance.
So look, we're like 4 years now, about 5 years into your journey. Tremendous success. Two companies really rolled up in one, a TV show on Netflix. Are we going to get more media content out of what you guys are doing? What's your roadmap for the next few years look like?
On the movie side, on the production side, we want to go aggressively into making movies, um, taking whatever we did in Camel Quest and go into doing movies and really seeing how we can do that and tell original stories and try to break that code as well and see what we can do. I give a lot of credit to Saf because a lot of those things were his ideas in the RSCC. Yeah, well, but we give credit where credit is due, right? I was there to help, but I think he cracked a lot of he cracked a very big code there, and I think it's now about just scaling. It works. The model works. Now, how do you scale that? Right, compared to Al Hubub, where it is now, we want to get it to where RSC is now. It's there now. How do you scale that? And the movie side as well. So it's interesting. You have three businesses. One is where you need to scale, and the other one you need to bring it to that.
Before we end, I have a question about talent and who's working within the industry. So we talked about local communities. We talked about kind of the traditions around it, but what kinds of jobs are being created by the work that you're doing within the industry? And do we see any women in the industry at all?
Until you start, or I
No,
start?
you know,
No one wants to take that last part.
We
of the
know
question.
we know the entertainment industry. There's a lot of females. We know that.
I'll disclose some numbers. Now we have 34 clients from outside the camel industry who are now camel owners. 6 of them are ladies.
Woo! Okay, so there is movement there.
There is movement, and it's becoming a thing. One of our clients, of course, we offer the farm on certain days if one of the clients want to come with his family, friends, show off their camels, etc. One of our clients, she actually got her entire family. She turned the farm into an A-class Miami lounge in terms of decoration.
Oh man,
Or the bean
that's
and it was so beautiful, and the bouquets and I was like, our neighbors, they were like, "What's happening to the industry? What's happening to the industry?" It was so beautiful, and then all of the food were bought from the local shops around the area in Qassim, and imagine more and more people. So see where we're going here. It's the camel owners, when they understand that when they go out of that cocoon, that the economy of that industry will start to rise, and everybody will get a piece of the cake. Then we are talking about, we are in the middle of building that.
and add to that, Safwan, there is in the King Abdulaziz Camel Festival, there is there's a lot of competitions,
Yeah.
women competitions. So women camel owners compete against each other, and it's quite big.
I also saw some women actually racing in Al-Ula, right? There
Yeah.
was the
Yes.
first women's race. They didn't do so well. I saw a lot of videos of a lot of women falling off the camels.
You know, so it comes with it.
It's not about falling down, it's getting back up.
There you go. I like that. That's a different perspective. No, I think that, and then in terms of kind of the digital skills for camel racing, right? That's something that you guys are creating. It's with digitizing it and creating the app and thinking about sponsors. This is I feel like there's so much room for young people to get into this industry in a very different way than they were in the past, where it was like you said, just going and trading.
I mean, it's a lot of it is the positions that every company would have, right? Like I'm guessing in your podcast, you've got marketing and you got PR and everyone. For us, it's those same positions, but now you're just retooling it and saying, all right, everything you've done. So if you were in F&B, okay, let's forget the hamburgers and these things. Now let's focus. How do you do the same thing, but for camels? How do you, if you're very good with getting sponsorships, now how can you convince someone of coming in as a camel on a camel racing team? How do you help build our brand as kind of entertainers and actors and go in and get roles and get our movies produced? So it's really just taking from the market and giving them an exciting career. And we've seen with some of our hires is they're, thankfully jumping on the opportunity because it's new. It's not a cookie cutter.
And they're willing to take that risk.
You know, switching jobs, like, to me, is really not a risk, because if you like it, then you continue. If you don't, Saudi has so many job opportunities now. You're just leaving one company, going to the other. It doesn't work. You go back to the job market. You're gonna get a job like this. So it's I don't think it's a risk.
And so are there like best practices that get brought over from like the horse industry, which is super established in the US and England and elsewhere, even in the region, of course. What you guys are doing is very different, and the differences you guys laid out. But are you guys learning some from anybody in those ecosystems, or is it, because it's very new, right? So it seems like there'd be some lessons learned and best practices from that.
Especially on the breeding side, in the horse industry, they're very advanced. Now they have banks for the studs that you can buy, and I just can't find the word in English, the imperial transfers.
It's the embryo, right? Like
the embryo transfers. It's very well common in the horse industry, so they can maintain a certain breed. Now that's being introduced as well in the camel industry, and it started to be more common. So yes, there are so many practices coming from here to here, and we're discovering more and more by time what works and what doesn't.
And I think on the medicine side as well, like on the racing side, we had a very nice discussion with a Dutch doctor. She was, very heavily involved with horses. Now she's transitioned to camels. So a lot of her expertise is transitioning, and the transition is you'd actually find a lot of commonality at what they look at race horses when they look at camels as well. So I think it'll take time. That's the best case study that we could cheat off of.
Entrepreneurs and founders of RedSea Camel Company, Omar Almaeena and Safwan Modir, joining us here on the 2030. You can check out their show on Netflix and their work on RedSea Camels, RedSea camels.com.sa, which is a really good investment, by the way, with 30 to 40% depending on the investment. And you can, as I understand it, you can go through your website and buy camels or reach out to you anyway about the investment opportunities there. What you guys are doing is super cool. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you for having
us. Much appreciated.
We'll have a small announcement. When we entered the beauty camels, everybody was like, "Are you participating?" We were so eager to participate, but we actually did not do well. So now we're breeding, but we are going to participate with our own breed in the year of 2030.
Inshallah.
And we will win. And we're announcing that through your podcast.
That's so
cool.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Muwaffaqeen, inshallah.
We have enough time to prepare, and we're coming.
Watch out. Yeah. That's amazing. Very cool. Congratulations on all your building, guys.
Okay,
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having
Congratulations.
me.
Thank you. Thanks, both of you. Thanks.
Massive thank you to Omar and Safwan for coming on the show. And that was just such an engaging and exciting conversation that we had. And I really appreciate them using our platform to make such a cool announcement as well. So really wishing them all the best and can't wait to hang out with them again.
That was amazing. We are now a news-making platform, Dr. Hannah. So that was really cool. And now the bar has been set for all future guests. You better come on here with some news and so that we can break the internet. That was really cool. Very interesting. Announcements, yes. They are welcome back anytime. I want to hang out with them as soon as possible. Let's get to the news.
So I'd love to hear your reaction to this, Lucian. The Ministry of Education has now mandated that all boys wear thobs and shmals, so the national dress, as a uniform in schools. This is in line with directives from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The initiative aims to reinforce national identity and educational values amongst students, and even non-Saudis will be asked to wear thobs in Saudi schools. To ensure a smooth transition, the ministry also announced that it's going to basically launch some awareness events and campaigns and educational programs about the significance of the mandate and its role in enforcing and reinforcing national pride and identity for both students and parents.
Yeah, I kind of love it, actually. I mean, it makes no sense, right, for students here, if they have a school uniform, to be wearing the same type of school uniform you would get in a private school in the West, in America, in the UK, and elsewhere, which is like, at least where I live, where my farm is like, navy blue pants for a boy and a white shirt. why do that when it could be a thobe? It does have the additional value of reinforcing national identity. I mean, that's part of the vision, right? Is that we are transforming as a nation, but we are preserving our culture at the same time. So I like it from that standpoint. And we've talked about it, Dr. Hannah, but I get the question all the time of, do you own a thobe? And, do you have a shmagin? Do you have these things? We'll go get you one right now. And I always say, yes, I have one. Yes, I have worn one before. It was a long time ago. I kind of don't like the look for me. And I think we talked about it, Dr. Hannah. There's a little bit of like a cultural appropriation feeling to it, maybe. And I love the look. Like, I really love the look. I think a nicely pressed thobe, especially the darker colors with the crispy, clean kind of fold, and it just always looks so good. And I love the offsetting of. I think it's a great look, but I don't think it's for me. And I do also feel weird when I see other Khawajas, guys from the US and the UK and Europe wearing them. And I don't know exactly why, but I just, and I always get the reaction, okay, but we don't feel that way. We think of it as you honoring, our traditions. And I would love to do that. And I'm, co-host of a podcast about Saudi Arabia. So, that I care about this place, but I just don't, I don't know. But I will say Founding Day, get ready, check all your social media feeds. Pierce, Coco, and even Baby George will be fully dressed for Founding Day. Thobe, the whole thing. We actually have, my boy Aziz gave Baby George a outfit, which I dying to put him into it, but we'll wait for Founding Day. And we will have all new outfits for Pierce and Coco this year. Pierce's favorite part of it, of course, is the janbaya, or the sword that he gets to wear. So I love it. I love this program. I love it for students. Just not as much for me. I've got my own, vibe going on over here. So what do you think of it?
No, it's true. I mean, I don't know. I love the thobe and shmag. My dad always wore a ghitra, actually, not a shmag. So my dad was always all in white with his black agal, and I loved it. But I think that I agree with you. I think it looks weird when somebody that wasn't born and raised in Saudi, or at least raised in Saudi, is wearing it. I don't think it's wrong if you're not from Saudi to wear one, but I do think that it is something that is becomes familiar and natural when you grow up wearing it. And therefore, I would say that this is a great move if you want people to feel comfortable in the thobe forever. It's the only way to do it, is to get kids wearing it when they're young. And I do think that it is a uniform, but I always thought it was one anyway. I didn't really know that this was a needed new direction from the Ministry of Education, because in my mind, all school kids are wearing thobes, boys are wearing thobes anyway. But I guess that wasn't necessarily mandated, or maybe it changed over the years and it was becoming a little bit more relaxed and they're bringing it back. So I don't know, but I think it's a good thing. And I do love a thobe. I prefer the light color ones, but the dark ones are nice in the winter. Anyway, all thobes, all Saudi traditional dress to me is beautiful. I love it anyways. But I think it's a uniform and people should think of it that way. The national identity part of it is also really important. And you've seen similar things happen in other Gulf countries. So I don't see why we wouldn't do it in Saudi as well. I think recently there was something very similar that happened in Oman, I want to say last year, and just in general, kind of embracing your national dress. And I do a lot of cultural training, or I haven't in a while, but I've done a lot of cultural training for people over the years. And one of the things that I love to do is show what the thobes look like in the different Gulf countries, and the different colors, the different sleeves, the different collars, the different buttons or cufflinks, and also the different head dress that goes with them. So it's quite varied even across Saudi Arabia, but then especially when you get to the other Gulf states. So I do think that there's a really big part of it that's national identity. I can look at a Kuwaiti and I know that they're Kuwaiti from the thobe that they're wearing. Same with somebody from Saudi. So I think it's important really to understand that from a young age and to have that ingrained in your understanding of the culture. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
2030 is pro thobe, just not for Lucian. That's cool, right? I mean, because and I'm also quite jealous because it looks very comfortable. I mean, maybe it's just that I don't think I can pull it off, but it's a little bit more than that. Anyway, Moving on, Dr. Hannah, new development in Saudi Arabia's wide-reaching, full-throttle effort to stamp out corruption in the kingdom. King Salman has issued an order approving new financial settlement rules for individuals and entities involved in corruption cases, aimed at recovering embezzled funds and ensuring swift justice in such cases. The rules will help restore misappropriated public funds and enhance the efficiency of investigations into settlements of cases involving financial corruption. The newly approved regulations, which will take effect immediately, grant Nazaha, which is the organization by me once a week, highlighting the anti-corruption efforts that they've done, Nazaha is entitled to settle agreements with individuals and entities who voluntarily report corruption cases that took place before November 4th, 2017, and were previously undiscovered. Under the new rules, those who enter a settlement must return or recover stolen funds, including any proceeds generated from them, while also paying an annual penalty of 5% of the misappropriated funds calculated from the time of the offense until full repayment. In return for full disclosure of the corruption case and any related offenses, individuals entering a settlement will be exempt from public prosecution. This agreement, once signed and approved by the heads of the investigation and prosecution unit, becomes legally binding and cannot be appealed.
Yeah. Also, I mean, the chairman of Nazaha, Mazen Kahmous, encouraged individuals to utilize the new settlement procedures, emphasizing that they serve as a form of voluntary justice. And he confirmed that no criminal charges would be pursued against those who were voluntarily agreeing to settlements of financial corruption offenses committed before the royal decree was issued. So I do think that there's an interesting spin here where, you know, we really are trying to help you be better. And therefore there are opportunities to, you know, to come forward and really try to make Saudi Arabia a much safer place to do business, to engage in you know, any type of transaction with that feeling that there is protection. And, you know, as some people might look at this and think that it's harsh, and I look at it and I think I need to be guaranteed, you know, basically I need those guarantees in place that if somebody is going to try and mess with me and, I don't know, steal my money or, you know, conspire against my whatever. I can't speak. I'd like to take out that last sentence. But yes, I think that the protection is really important.
It's a new era of Saudi Arabia. It's a new era of doing business here. You cannot have foreign investors coming in here and not understand that it is an even and level playing field. And the only way to do that is to send a message that it's just never going to be accepted. That began in 2017 and continues today. It is one of the reasons why Nazaha does send that text message every week to remind everybody that this is not the old Wild West that it may have been a long time ago. This is a new era for the development of the Saudi economy and the society. And basically what you're saying with this is that we want to make sure that if you're doing business here, you're doing business here because it helps you, it benefits you, not because it enriches somebody else and you get some sort of tertiary side benefit from it. It basically says you cannot have foreign investors coming in here saying, yeah, there's a really good chance that you got to pay off this guy and this guy and this guy. No one will come, right? And it's working. You have 450 new Riyadh HQ foreign companies, foreign firms that are relocating to the kingdom to be part of the build of this country, which is massive and lucrative because of the actual business opportunities themselves. You have to do things like this. And this puts it in line with Western peers, maybe even ahead of some Western peers, because the statement, these rules and other rules that have come into place just say, no more, everybody. We're doing things by the book here. If you want to succeed, you have to do things right and you have to be fair. And that benefits everybody. So love to see this. And this is just more advancements on financial crimes from authorities. It's just, I think it's good. And I think it sends the right message to investors.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I remember learning about quite a bit when I was doing my master's in development was the fact that corruption and overcoming corruption is not a prerequisite for economic growth. Actually, you can have great economic growth with a very corrupt economic system and kind of endemic corruption throughout the economy. But that is not going to benefit most people. It's going to lead to a very stratified economy. It's going to lead to people that win and people that lose. And it's also not going to attract the right kind of people to come into the country, let's say any country that you're talking about within the developing economies, and try to work hand in hand with local entities to really encourage technology transfer, to encourage just economic growth that results in more employment, more innovation. And therefore, this is a smart decision because it's doing it the right way. It's not just thinking about economic growth, it's thinking about protection and economic growth for sustainable growth for the long term, basically. So I love that this is continuing to be a big part of what Saudi Arabia is doing. And, you know, it's scary for some people who are not really sure how to respond to this type of news, I think, you know, when it's been something that nobody's really talked about before. So I think the education aspect, and this is part of financial literacy, is really important in order to really understand what this means and how to do business well and what contracts should look like, what agreements need to look like in order to protect yourself and others. And it's all about protection and the kind of solid foundations for a real kind of trusted and growing economy. So some interesting news out of KEK, the King Abdullah Economic City. The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has named the automotive manufacturing hub within KEK the King Salman Automotive Cluster. That was reported by the Saudi press agency on Thursday. The cluster is going to be the center of the kingdom's automotive aspirations, housing the headquarters and manufacturing facilities for both local as well as international companies. And not surprisingly, Seer, the first Saudi electric vehicle brand, and Lucid Motors, which opened its first international factory in KEK in 2023, are set to be key players within the cluster. It's going to house multiple PIF joint ventures with global manufacturers, including a highly automated factory with Hyundai for car production in Saudi Arabia, and a partnership with Pirelli to establish a tire factory as well. So they're targeting 92 billion Saudi riyals in GDP contribution by the cluster by the year 2035.
Yeah, local manufacturing is just snowballing here in Saudi Arabia. Snowball headed down the hill. Everyone is talking about the importance of manufacturing things locally here, if possible, which has its own knock-on effects, right? In order to do that, you usually also see investments into R&D, and that strengthens the national supply chain. All of those things are super important here. We will be having an interview coming up, this is all I'm going to say, on a very related topic in terms of working on Saudi Arabia's national economy from the manufacturing standpoint. And I think it's just super important. That's just the name of the game for the PIF and for the government. And as part of what we just talked about, which is attracting of investment, I mean, they really want investments into these critical areas and sectors because I think rightfully think that this is a very important part of sustaining the vision beyond 2030. If you want to have this type of economic growth that is sustainable, a lot of the inputs need to be here in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, very cool. And it's getting crowded up there at King Abdullah Economic City. You have, as you mentioned, Lucid and Seer. Johnson Controls is a massive factory there. There are a ton of people moving there to actually manufacture because you have the huge port right next to it. So it's a great place to set up a manufacturing facility. You're part of the supply chain there. You have neighbors around you, great neighbors. And so it's kind of cool. I mean, I love seeing this. We are going to wrap up news today with sports because the story is definitely interesting. Anything involving Turki Al-Sheikh interests me. The fighter Canelo Alvarez has agreed to a 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season, with the Mexican superstar appearing to leverage a widely speculated bout with Jake Paul for a much bigger contract. And indeed, it is a much bigger contract, it seems. Turki Al-Sheikh, the head of the Riyadh Season and General Entertainment Authority of Saudi Arabia, and who I can just not get enough of seeing and hearing because he seems like the man, announced the deal Thursday on social media. He announced the deal and said, quote, "Don't mess with the lion," end quote. How cool is that, man? I love stuff like that. Alvarez quickly replied on social media with, "Let's go, brother." These guys talk just like me, Hannah. I'm sure you're rolling your eyes over there. The first fight under Alvarez's new deal would be May in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, against Terrence Crawford may be his second fight, which they're working on now, the long-reigning welterweight champion. Quote, "I'm waiting on Canelo in September," Crawford wrote on X in reply to El Sheikh, "and going to shock the world in Riyadh season. Let's go. I'll be here in May. I'm going to check this thing out for sure."
I mean, this is really not my space, and I love that you're calling it sports. But anyway, Alvarez would have been an astronomical favorite to beat Paul, the YouTube star, who has turned himself into one of the biggest draws in combat sport while fighting mixed martial artists and 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Instead, Alvarez appears to be back on track for a meeting this year with Crawford, who'll have to move up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo. Like, what do you do to do that? Like, is that muscle? Can it just be like McDonald's? How does that work?
I would have no problem moving up 2 weight classes for anything, but it would definitely not be muscle. It would be Kebsa here, and I'd go heavy on the rice. I'd be there in 2 weeks. First of all, this is a sport. Boxing is a sport. It's an Olympic sport.
Okay.
So, let's not...
Right.
Let's not go there on that. It's also not my thing. Like, I don't really watch boxing or any sort of fighting sports. I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I just think this is super interesting because it's all part of like Turkey Al Sheikh's like really amazing mandate to just make this a sports hub and an entertainment hub.
To make Saudi fun.
To make Saudi fun. Well, it's already fun. It's a great place, but I mean, it's just these types of things. I mean, like this type of press you get with these superstars with millions of followers talking about fighting in Saudi Arabia is all good. But yeah, no, I mean, I would love to be forced to gain 2 weight classes. That would be wonderful. I would eat so much food. Really quickly before we...
No, it wouldn't. Because then what if you want to like trim back? Oh my God, think about the effort.
No, that's fine. I'm like, what's this? Can't remember the guy who's like really famous for gaining and losing weight. He played Pat Bateman in American Psycho, and I just cannot think of his name. Really handsome dude. Whatever. Okay. I'm going to remember. This is the type of thing you remember when the show, like 2 hours later, and you're like, oh, yeah.
When the show is over.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, I would have no problem doing that. Well, actually, the losing weight would suck. You're right. That would, you just keep it on, right?
It would.
You wear it well. Quick shout out here. I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Dr. Hannah Almoeibid, who is also the host of another podcast in Arabic called Nusuf Voices. It's a fantastic podcast, even though I can't really listen to it because it's in Arabic. We would like to do some more collaborating with Nusuf in the future, highlighting some of the guests. Half of our audience speaks Arabic, so highlighting some of the guests that she will have on that show, which is an interview format, and sort of teasing some of the snippets from the conversation, just so people are aware that you can go listen to the content at Nusuf. Nusuf is run by May Mozeni, who is just a really terrific professional and a wonderful, wonderful person as well. And they've just got the most amazing mission. So yeah, we will be sharing some of those conversations and just parts of it so that people can know to check that out. So shout out to you, Dr. Hannah, and keep up the good work with Nusuf.
Thank you, Lucian. I did not expect that. So can I just say a teeny little bit about Nusf since you gave me the shout out?
Nope, that's it. Goodbye.
So
no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, of course. Yeah.
Nusf means half, and it is the nickname or the name, the quote unquote name of the Arab Institute for Women's Empowerment, with a mission to train women on leadership and employment skills within the Saudi market. So at different levels, but we also do research. And we have the podcast and monthly motivational talks, and the incredible Maylam Zani founded Nusf after an incredible career in Saudi Aramco, where she was in a senior position, but found that women often didn't know how to find their voice around a table, especially when they were surrounded primarily by men who just bring on a different energy and vibe a lot of the time. So the organization has done incredible work with lots of different entities, and we're continuing to grow. And the point of the podcast, Nusf host voices is to really explore what's happening in the changing dynamics of work in Saudi Arabia as more women enter the labor market. So we host both men and women talking about issues that are related to workplace developments and shifts in Saudi Arabia.
The unleashing of the potential and power of Saudi women has been something that, just from my perspective, has been probably one of the most impactful results of Vision 2030. And so I love what they're doing. I love what you're doing there. And I love what May is doing as well. And so, yeah, check it out. And we'll be, just give a little heads up to everybody, we'll be trying to drop in some information about it as we go forward with this podcast. And we're building a community here, and it takes all kinds, right? And so I think it's cool. So congrats to you, Dr. Hannah. Keep up the good work. Thanks to everybody for making it this far in the podcast. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you all.